resource to help members understand this information. It will be posted on our website in due course within the next few months, I hope. So those are the kinds of things that you can do, and mainly to keep an eye on our website, and we will be posting new information, hopefully on a regular basis. Now I was asked to say something about supervision. Supervision comes into all of this in various different ways. For regular applicants, and I haven't talked about that at all, but people who are not applying through the grandparenting route, but who are applying through the regular route to registration, many of whom will be recent graduates of programs, they are required to have, in addition to a coherent education and training program or training program in psychotherapy, 100 hours of clinical supervision and 150 hours for independent practice. Applicants for grandparenting, as I have said, will be asked about how much and what kinds of supervision they've had over the years, and a mix of different kinds of supervision will be acceptable, and there will be some minimum number of hours of clinical supervision that will be required, and all that will be known fairly soon, I think. Now, in terms of who can be a supervisor, I think that might have been a question earlier. As it stands at the moment, what we've said in the draft regulation, which has not been approved, as I mentioned earlier, and we're still waiting to hear about, anybody who is an experienced practitioner with a minimum of 5 years experience can serve as a supervisor. The college may ask you the name of your supervisor, and presumably people will choose their supervisors wisely. A supervisor could also be a member of one of the other colleges, one of the other professions, whose members can practice psychotherapy and use the title psychotherapist, and there are 5 other professions. Physicians, psychiatrists, as we've heard, psychologists, social workers, nurses, occupational therapists, and somebody else, I think I missed one. Social workers, did I say that? So supervisor could be someone from another of those professions who is an experienced practitioner who has the right kind of training background to supervise, to act as a supervisor in psychotherapy. Yes?
Just a small question. When you say supervisor, are you a consultant?
Talking about a clinical supervisor providing clinical supervision, which is the kind of supervision that we're requiring for registration, and a certain amount of that will also be required for registration via the grandparenting route. I don't know if that answers your question.
No. Because supervisor implies that person is actually responsible for the activity of the client, which a consultant doesn't. And so this goes into peer review, etc. as well. I think we need to have that definition.
And the whole question of supervision and type of supervision and who can be a supervisor and so on is a bit of a quagmire, I have to say. I'm not a psychotherapist, and all of this was new to me. And then the various definitions and the way various sectors of the profession look upon supervision, is diverse, shall we say. So I believe that we will be developing guidelines on supervision and fleshing out some of these details, probably not in a prescriptive way, initially anyway, but to provide a certain amount of guidance. One thing that we have said in the regulation, the draft regulation, is that after the college has been in place for 3 years, which is to say 3 years following proclamation, supervisors, people acting as clinical supervisors, will be required to have completed a course in supervision. And I think there's some work underway now to develop supervision courses. One of the universities, I believe, is doing that. So we do have more work to do on supervision. Yes.
You're talking about now requirements for being grandparented. I'm wondering about ongoing, to maintain one's membership. Will there be requirements around supervision? Currency is when you get in. I mean, while you're to continue to be a member.
Well, for anybody who wants to be eligible for independent practice, they will have had to have completed 1,000 client contact hours and 150 hours of supervision. So,
but once you've got that and you're in, you're good. You don't need any more supervision?
I think under the regulation, as it's now worded, that is not a requirement. However, I believe that it's the tradition of the profession that people should have ongoing supervision, and that may be something that's incorporated into the quality assurance program, which all members must participate in. That will, details of the quality assurance program, that's another piece of work in front of us to be determined. So I don't have the answer to that question, but and that'll probably turn out to be quite a debate because whereas you folks, members of OSP, I think it's a requirement and an expectation and a tradition that you would have ongoing supervision. I don't know that that's necessarily the case with some other future members of the college in somewhat different sectors, shall we say. So that'll be an interesting discussion. Any other questions? I think I've pretty much covered